What is good, guys? So today we're going to be talking about NFL free agency, day 3 through day 5. Yeah, I was only intending on doing a day 3 video, but stuff came up. It's been crazy around here, a lot of schoolwork's been starting. March Madness started, and then there was a school shooting right outside my window last night. So yeah, lots been going on, but I'm still trying to get you guys content, whenever I can. And so yeah, we're just gonna jump into this video right away and talk about the big name free agency signings that have taken place over the last couple of days. So the first signing that happened was the Carolina Panthers decided to sign Cincinnati Bengals tight end Hayden Hurst to a 3-year, $21.75 million deal. And yeah, obviously this is sort of a big loss for Cincinnati. Hurst was a terrific tight end for them this past season. They still have a lot of weapons. They're still reportedly in the market for a solid blocking tight end, so I don't think this will hurt them too much, but, you never want to see a productive offensive player leave. As far as Carolina goes, great signing. I really don't think you're paying Hurst that much, and you need weapons for whichever young quarterback is starting for you that you draft number 1 overall this year, especially since you traded away DJ Moore. So then the Patriots decided to sign Bears offensive tackle Riley Reiff, not quite sure how to say it, to a 1-year, $5 million deal. I'd say I like this move for both parties. The Bears, Riley, he wasn't really productive for us this past year, and we're trying to reboot the offensive line, protect Justin Fields better. As far as the Patriots go, he's fine. He's not a bad offensive lineman, so to get him on a 1-year deal, only paying him $5 million, that ain't bad at all, in my opinion. So then the Buffalo Bills decided to re-sign their star safety Jordan Poyer to a 2-year deal. Money hasn't been announced yet how much he will be getting in that 2-year deal, but they're re-signing him, they're keeping him. Safety, it's not that important of a position in today's NFL, but Poyer is one of the best in the league, so I think this is a good sign, depending on how much you're paying, and that Buffalo was able to maintain Poyer and keep a load of defense in Sean McDermott's defensive system. And so then the Miami Dolphins decided to sign Detroit Lions safety Deshaun Elliott. Elliott, he's been bouncing around the league the past couple of years. He was with the Ravens the year Lamar won MVP. Then he went to the Lions. We don't know how long this deal is or how much he's getting. We just know that they intend to sign him. He intends to play there. I like this for Miami. Just continue to build up that strong defense. Continue to make your roster even better than it already is. Detroit, they need defensive help, but they don't really see Deshaun Elliott being that productive or, getting them, he's not, they don't think they should be paying him what they're paying him because he hasn't been productive, And so then the New England Patriots decide to sign New York Jets running back James Robinson to a 2-year, $8 million deal. Now, if you remember, James Robinson was the running back who went undrafted and was with the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence rookie year, he had a phenomenal year that year. Then the beginning of this year, he wasn't nearly as productive. Travis Etienne got more involved, so he was traded to the Jets after Breece Hall went down for the season. Still wasn't that productive for them. But, I like the signing. They're not paying him a lot. He's not going to be their number 1 back. He'll be number 2 behind Ramondre Stevenson. So I like the move by the Jets, letting him go. You have 2-star running backs. You certainly don't need another one that's this good. And Patriots, they get more depth on the run game and continue to get Mac Jones, another offensive key piece. So then the New England Patriots also decide to sign Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster to a 3-year, $25.5 million deal. I'm not a huge fan of this. I'm not necessarily sure Kansas City should have let him go because they don't have a lot of depth at wide receiver. But to pay him this much, even though the Patriots need weapons, Juju, he's a distraction. I know the Bears, before the offseason started, I knew they needed more help on the offensive side of the football, but I really was hoping they didn't sign Juju. He's too much of a distraction, not worth the money, not worth the productivity. End of the day, New England, who has a history of being a smart organization, decides to sign him, which is pretty shocking. But yeah, not a fan of this move. And so then the Cincinnati Bengals go out and they sign Kansas City Chiefs offensive tackle Orlando Brown to a 4-year, $64.092 million deal. And I love this signing, folks. Orlando Brown, I wanted my Bears to sign him. He is a freak athlete, one of the best tackles in the game. Jonah Williams, Cincinnati Bengals, current left tackle, just requested a trade after they got Brown. But dang, I mean, you think about their offensive line now, folks. You have Orlando Brown and La'el Collins as your two tackles. And you have Ted Karras as your center. And you have Alex Kappa as your left guard. And your right guard, forget his name, but he's not that bad either. Cincinnati, I mean, I'm telling you, I think they beat Kansas City and win the Super Bowl if their offensive line doesn't fall apart. So, going to be interesting to see what the Bengals do this year. And I do think it is a slight loss for the Chiefs, although they did sign Jawan Taylor, and they still have some good offensive line pieces, so I think they will be fine. And Mahomes, he can run, so it's not like he just stands back there and needs extra protection. He can use his legs if he has to. And he's good throwing on the run, too. So then Philadelphia Eagles decide to re-sign defensive tackle Fletcher Cox to a 1-year, $10 million deal. I like this move for Philly. I'm glad they were able to get Fletcher Cox back on such a cheap deal. He still can play at a high level. I'm just shocked that Fletcher Cox wants to stay here, not get a lot of money. I mean, I'm shocked Philly's been able to keep most of these defensive pieces. I mean, it really is astounding that they've been able to keep most of it together. I thought they were going to have to blow most of it up in order to extend Jalen Hurts this offseason. And, you know, it's not, I mean, I'm not even suspecting, like, they're going to extend Jalen Hurts. So I'm really interested to see how much Jalen Hurts gets because they're giving a lot to the defense, so that should be interesting. So then the Carolina Panthers decide to sign Philadelphia Eagles running back Miles Sanders to a 4-year, $25.4 million deal. Yeah, I mean, I like this move for Carolina. They need a running back, you know, and Sanders, he's really productive. I'm just not sure I would pay him so much money, you know. Running backs tend to decline very fast. It's not good to pay him all this money, especially for a long period of time. And, you know, for Philly, he's obviously their number one back, but they have so much depth at the running back position. They still have a really solid offensive line, and Jalen Hurts can get involved in the run game. Nick Sirianni's clever. I'm fine. I'm fine with this move for Philadelphia. And so then the New Orleans Saints decide to sign Detroit Lions running back Jamal Williams to a 3-year, $12 million deal. Yeah, I like this move for the Saints. You're not really paying him that much money. You can use him in the red zone. Obviously, Alvin Kamara, whatever you want to say, is going to be your number one back. You'll use Jamal Williams in the red zone as well as short yardage gaining situations. So yeah, I like this move. And obviously Detroit, they just signed David Montgomery and they have DeAndre Swift as well. So obviously you don't need Jamal Williams, who led the league in touchdowns last year. And so yeah, I mean, I just think, you know, you don't need that many running backs, so I think this is a win-win for both teams in this scenario. And so then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers decide to sign Miami Dolphins running back Chase Edmonds to a 1-year deal. We don't know how much he's getting paid yet. We just know it's going to be a 1-year deal. And yeah, I like this move. I mean, Fournette, out of shape. You're not going to bring him back. You already have Rashad White. So, yeah, I think this just helps your run game. It's another offensive piece. Edmonds will be productive for you for the most part. And, yeah, I like the signing for both teams. And if you're Miami, you already have so much depth at the running back position. You don't need Chase Edmonds as well. So, I like this move for both teams in this scenario. And so then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers decide to re-sign veteran linebacker Levante David to a 1-year, $7 million deal. I like this move. You don't want to pay linebackers a lot. You're not paying him a lot. It's a cheap deal. David's still been productive for you. And, yeah, I mean, solid move for Tampa, in my opinion. Good signing for Jason Light, the GM, might I add. So, yeah, then the San Francisco 49ers decide to sign Las Vegas Raiders defensive end Cleveland, I believe that's his name, Cleveland Farrell, to a 1-year, $2.5 million deal. They're basically not paying him anything. If you remember, this is the guy that John Gruden drafted to try and replace Khalil Mack. He was a part of that great defensive line for Clemson the year they won the national championship with Trevor Lawrence. But I mean, yeah, you're not really paying him anything. I'm not even sure he'll start. Yeah, it's just a notable signing because of how high he was drafted and how much of a bust he's been so far. So, yeah. And then the New York Giants decided to re-sign their wide receiver, their sort of slot receiver gadget guy, Darius Slayton, to a 2-year, $12 million deal. And I like this. You're not paying him a lot. You shouldn't be paying him a lot. And you need to get Daniel Jones all the weapons you can, considering he will be the quarterback there for the foreseeable future, at least the next couple of years for that matter. And so then the Philadelphia Eagles, who were expected to release cornerback Darius Slay, end up re-signing him to a 3-year, $42 million deal. You know, this is a good move. He's a tremendous corner, one of the best corners in the game. A little small, but he's fine. And yeah, you're bringing him back. I can't believe, again, another star defensive player Philly's bringing back. But, you know, congrats to them. I'm shocked you're able to do that. And so then the New England Patriots decide to sign Miami Dolphins tight end Mike Gesicki to a 1-year, $9 million deal. I like this move for the Patriots. You're getting him for basically nothing. He's a very productive tight end. He's probably going to be Mac Jones' number one go-to guy now. A bit disappointed Miami was able to lose him, but when you're paying every single guy on that roster as much as you are, and you're thinking you might have to pay a quarterback in a year or two, you can't afford everyone. And Gesicki, although he's productive, he doesn't block particularly well from what I'm hearing. So, yeah, good move for New England, and I understand why Miami had to do this. And so then the Seattle Seahawks decide to sign Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker Devin Bush to a 1-year deal. Don't know how much he's making yet. We just know it's a 1-year deal. And, yeah, solid move for Seattle. They're continuing to build up their defense in this offseason, which they definitely needed to do, and Pete Carroll addressed that at the end of the year press conference. If people don't remember Devin Bush, the Steelers traded up for him. I believe they drafted him 10th overall a few years ago. He's a fine linebacker. He's not necessarily a number one, but I like Devin Bush. He's solid. He's definitely going to help them out. And Pittsburgh, you already got a loaded defense, so I understand why they did this as well and decided to let Bush go. And so then the Buffalo Bills decide to release wide receiver Isaiah McKenzie. I understand this move. He's not really productive, although you do have a lack of weapons, which is sort of becoming a worry for me. But again, if McKenzie's not productive, you don't want to overpay for non-productive players, especially on the offensive side of the football. So, yeah, I get it. I get why they did this. And so then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers decide to release running back Leonard Fournette. Not a shock at all. He came in not this offseason, but the offseason before. He comes in to camp out of shape. He's not productive at all this year, and he just sort of seems like he doesn't care anymore. So I totally agree with the signing by Tampa. I don't think Fournette's going to be on another team. This could be the end of Leonard Fournette's career. And so then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers also decided to release tight end Cameron Brate. I sort of liked Brate. I'm kind of disappointed they did this, especially since you need to get Baker Mayfield all the help that you can get. But, yeah, disappointing, but I'm sure a team will pick up Brate. And, you know, Tampa still has guys like Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Scotty Miller, so on and so forth. So I think they'll be fine. And then the Miami Dolphins decide to re-sign the running back Myles Gaskin to a 1-year deal. So now they got Gaskin, Jeff Wilson Jr., Mostert. They're going to be fine. And it's good that Mike McDaniel's offense has that many running backs because, you know, it's from the Shanahan offense. They love to run the football and pound the hell out of the ball. So, yeah. And then the Las Vegas Raiders decide to sign Houston Texans wide receiver Philip Dorsett. If you remember, Philip Dorsett was one of the, I think he was the number one receiver on the Patriots. Brady's last year there. Brady didn't necessarily get along with him. He was just a kid. Then he goes to the Texans, and now he's going to join the Raiders and be, he'll be their 4, which is actually funny because Brady's last year there, his 2 best wide receivers were Dorsett and Jacoby Myers. And now both of those guys are on the Raiders. So, yeah, it'll be Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Jacoby Myers, and now Philip Dorsett. So, like the signing, like the move. Although Houston does need wide receiver help, so I'm not necessarily sure this was the best plan for them. And then the New York Giants decide to sign Indianapolis Colts wide receiver Paris Campbell to a 1-year, $4.7 million deal. I like the signing for the Giants. Again, they're somehow getting more weapons for Daniel Jones, solid weapons, that is. And with his contract, I didn't think you were going to be able to do that. Paris Campbell was productive at Ohio State, early round pick. I think he was picked in like the second round a few years ago. Not that productive with the Colts, however, but Brian Daboll tends to get the best out of his offensive pieces, so I think he'll be able to get the best out of Campbell, and we're going to see a whole new, different level from Paris Campbell this upcoming year. And so, yeah, those are basically the NFL free agency signings that have happened the past couple of days. I think I'm done making free agency videos. You know, there's not really going to be that much big news. Obviously, if something happens with Aaron Rodgers or Lamar Jackson or some other big move happens, I'll obviously report that, or a big signing, big trade. But other than that, I don't think I'm going to get into too much more free agency stuff. I have a Baker Mayfield video coming up, an Ezekiel Elliott video coming up, more Chicago Bears content coming up, Sam Darnold, Andy Dalton. I know those aren't really particular interesting topics, but once you see why I'm talking about them, I'm sure you'll be a lot more interested. And yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this video, guys. I'm going to continue to try harder and harder to get content out to you sooner and quit doing one video every 4 days or 5 days. And yeah, as always, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys in the next one.